Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how to make this dress, and what you'll need your yarn. I'm using a size 4.0 mm hook. You'll need your scissors, a tape measure, and a pin. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to get the measurement of your bust. You're going to take the measurement of your bust and divide it by 4. The amount you get, you're going to minus 2.5 inches from that size. So the bust size that I'm working on is 30 inches. When I divide that by 4, I get 7.5. With this, you're going to minus 2.5 to 3 inches from the amount that you receive. Above chains that matches that length. The chains that you'll make should be a multiple of 3 plus 1 chain. So I'm going to start making my chains to match the length that I need. Before you make your chains, you need to leave a piece of yarn that is long enough, because we're going to need that to join the other cup together. So you need to leave a good enough length yarn. So we're going to start making our chains for the length that we need. So I've made the number of chains that matches the length that I need, which is 24, and as I mentioned, it should be a multiple of 3. So after I have 24, I'm going to chain 1 like so, yarn over, and make my puff stitch into the last chain, which would be my 24th chain. To make a puff stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the last chain, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert your hook into the same stitch, pull up a loop. At this point, you should have 5 loops on your hook. You're going to pull, yarn over, and pull through all 5. Chain 1. Just like that. We're going to skip the next chain and insert our hook into the one after. You make your puff stitch, you yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, pull up a loop. You have 5, pull through all 5 loops, chain 1. We're going to skip the next one and enter into the next chain. So yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, pull through all 5, and chain 1. So that is what I'm going to do until I'm at the end. So after you've made your last puff, you're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to decrease. To decrease, you yarn over, and in between the 2 puff stitches, you'll make a puff stitch. So you yarn over, insert your hook into the space, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops, yarn over, insert your hook into the space and pull up a loop, and then you'll have 5. Pull through all 5, chain 1. I'm going to go into the next space in between the puff stitches, yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop. You'll have 3, yarn over, insert your hook into the space, and then you'll get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull through all 5, chain 1. So we're going to continue until you have 1 puff stitch left to do. Now that I have only 1 puff stitch left, I'm going to make the puff stitch like so, but you won't chain the one. You're going to yarn over, find that chain 1 that we did at the beginning, insert your hook into that chain 1 and make a double crochet. Just like that. Going to chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to continue with our decreasing. So with this, as you can see, the space in between the 2 puff would be right here and not here. So we're going to insert our hook into this space, pull up a loop, and pull through all 5 loops, chain 1. So now that I'm at the end and I have 1 puff left, see, I've already made a puff. And remember, when you're at the end, when we're doing this base, the first base, or when we're decreasing, at the end of each puff, you're not going to chain 1. Instead, you're going to yarn over, find the chain 1 that you did in the previous row, and insert your hook to make a double crochet. Just like that. So you'll make your decreases until you have 1 puff at the top in the middle. So I'll do mine off camera and show you how it looks when I am finished. Okay, so now that I have 1 puff stitch, what you're going to do, because we're going to start with our increases, you're going to chain 1 on top of the puff stitch, yarn over, and make a double crochet into the chain 1 space. So like so, right? You're going to chain 3, turn your work, and in this space between the puff stitch and the double crochet that you've made, you're going to make 1 puff stitch. Pull through, chain 1, just like that. You're going to yarn over and into this space in between the puff stitch and the end. You're going to make a puff stitch, chain 1, yarn over, and find a space to make a double crochet. like so. So now we're going to start to increase. So to chain 3, turn your work in this space between the puff stitch and the double crochet. You're going to make 1 puff stitch. Chain 1. In the space between the 2 puff stitches, you're going to make a puff stitch. Chain 1, and in the space between the puff stitch and the chain 3, you're going to make 1 more puff stitch. Chain 1 and make a double crochet in the second chain of the chain 3 that was made, like so. So we're going to just continue with the puff stitches. So again, chain 3, turn your work in between this space, you're going to make 1 puff stitch, pull through all the loops, chain 1 in between the puff stitch and the puff stitch, make your puff stitch, chain 1 in between the 2 puff stitches. Again, you're going to make your like this, chain 1, and in between the puff stitch and the chain 3, you make 1 more puff stitch, chain 1. Like so. So what you're going to do, you're going to continue making your puff stitches until you get 1 less puff than what you started out with. So I started out with 12 puff stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Until I'm going to continue doing my increases until I get 11 puff stitch in a row. You'll do the same, the amount of puff stitches that you started out with. You're going to continue making your increases until you get 1 less than what you started out with. So I'll finish mine off camera and show you what to do after. So after you've made your last row with the puff stitches being 1 less, because see, I started out with 12 and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and make a puff in between the puff stitch and the chain and the double crochet that you have here. So you continue making your puff, and you should get the number of puff stitches that you started out with in the very first row. So far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 puff stitches, and I'm going to make my last one like so. So remember, now that we're decreasing, in the last one you won't chain 1, instead you'll yarn over and make a double crochet to complete it. So we'll be starting to decrease just like what we did here. We're going to decrease now. Just to remind you, to decrease, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then in between the 2 puff stitches you're going to make a puff stitch. So you yarn over twice. Once you get 5 loops on your hook, you pull through all and chain 1. So continue making the puff stitches to decrease. So at the end, in between the two puff stitches, I'll make a puff stitch and not chain one. Instead you make a double crochet in, and then insert your hook into the chain one that was done in the row before. So just like that. So as you can see, this shape is starting to change, and now I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 puff. So I'm going to continue with my decreases until I have 1 puff in the center. So just remind you, you just chain 1, turn your work, in between the 2 puff stitches you make your puff stitch like so. So I'll finish mine off camera and then show you what to do after. So now that I have the 1 puff stitch in the middle, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the chain 1 space, make your double crochet. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then into the same space right here you're going to make a insert your hook, pull up your loop, and then pull through all 2, and we're going to make the straps. So to make your straps, you can make them as long as you want, about 70 to 100 you can make, right? If you want them to be thicker, you just need to slip stitch just to come back at this point. So I'm going to make the chains. Alright, so that's how it is looking like, right? Now what you're going to do, so this will be your first panel and you have your string. So you make your second panel, which would look something like this. We want to put it on the side that has the tail to the left side, right? So this is how the first 2 cups they are looking like. Now what we're going to do is to join these 2 pieces together. So to join them, all you need to do is to bring your, so you're going to insert your hook into the space, bring the yarn around, you're going to chain 3, so 1 2 and 3. So you're going to insert your hook at the end here into a secure spot and just get your hook and just bring it through. You should have 2 loops. You're going to bring through, take your hook, bring through all 2, chain 1 just to join them. So whichever way you know how to join your 2 pieces together, you just do that. Alright, and there we have it. So we have them joined together. The next thing that you'll need to do is to make a chain that is long enough to go around your hips. So you're going to get your yarn, make a slip knot like so, and then we're going to attach it at the end. So attach it at the end here where it's secured, pull through, and we chain 1, right? So we're going to make chains to fit around the hip size of, well, the length of the hip. So the first thing you need to do is to measure, get your measurement of this area first. So it's, and you want it to be stretched, but not too much. So you take your tape measure, and don't watch my tape measure. So mine is about 12 and a half, right? The hip size that I'm working on is about 30 inches. So what you need to do, get your hip size minus that, minus the measurement that you get for the bra cup from the hip size. So since I'm working on a hip size for 30, I'm going to minus 12 or 12 and a half from it, which will give me 18 inches. So I'm going to make a chain that is long enough to reach 18 inches. And remember, it should be a multiple of 3, right? So I have all the chains that I need. That will give me 30 inches, well, which will give me 18 inches, but attached to the front panel, it will give me 30 inches in total. So once you have that, you just need to straighten your chains and then attach it to the panel here. So right here. And then you chain 1. I'm going to cut this just like so. Right? So now that we have this, you're going to find the middle portion, right? So you can count the number of chains that you have to get the middle. So I have made 72 chains. So I'm going to find half of that, which is 36. So you're going to get your yarn, make a slip knot, and then insert your hook where the stitch marker is. And you're going to chain 1. In the next stitch, you're going to make your puff stitch. So you just can make regular puff stitches. Chain 1. So you're going to skip over every other chains, just as you did for the cups. So skip this one and enter into the next one. We make our puff stitches. Oops. Chain 1. You skip the next and then enter into the following chain, make your puff stitch. So just like that. And when you're at the spaces with this, you'll just hide them behind. Now when you reach to this point, if you find that you need to make a puff stitch on top of a puff stitch, don't do that. What you need to do, just make another puff stitch somewhere else, because you need to go in between each puff stitches. So I'll make mine at the end here. Okay, so now that's sorted out, I'm going to make the puff stitch in between the puff stitch. So now that we're at the middle here, you're going to make one puff stitch into the second chain. In the chain 3 that we made, you're going to make the a puff stitch in the second chain. All right, so just find the second chain and make your puff stitch. Chain one, and then you're going to yarn over and just go into the space. So just like so. Continue making your puff stitches. Alright, so you're going to continue making your puff stitches until you are at this part, and I'll show you what to do when starting the next row. Alright, so after you made your last puff stitch, you're going to chain one and then make a slip stitch on top of the puff stitch that you made before, just like that. Right, so now we'll be working in rounds to complete the skirt part of the dress, or the skirt part of the dress. Right, so to do so, you're going to chain one, turn your work, and then, as I mentioned, we're going to work in rounds. So you're going to work around and then around and then around. So you're going to yarn over. In this space, you're going to make your 2 puff stitches. Like so. Chain one, yarn over, make 1 more puff stitch in this space. So you continue making that, and I'll show you what to do at the end here. Okay, so now when you have this 1 puff stitch in the middle, you're going to chain 1 and then make a slip stitch on top of the puff stitch on the next side, like this. Right, so we're going to go back where we came from. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and make a puff stitch in this space. So that will be your pattern until you get it the length that you would like. So you're going to continue until you get the length, and then I'll finish mine off camera and show you how it looks when I am finished, to show you what to do after that. Okay, so this is all my rows completed. I did a total of 31 rows, but as I mentioned before, you do the number of rows that is suitable for your own length, right? The next thing I'm going to do is to make the straps at the back to gather it together. Well, to do so, you're going to get your yarn, make a slip knot, and in between where you have the corner right here, you're going to insert your hook on the outside into a space there, attach your slip knot, chain 1. So just like that. You're going to make the number of chains. You can make around 70 to 100 chains depending on your size, to use it as a strap to gather the back of the dress. Okay, so just like that. Now what you're going to do is to weave in the strap in the first row of the dress. So for me, I'm just going to go in and out in the spaces If you're not able to do it like this, you can do it one by one, as long as it is weaved in the first row of the back of the dress. So just like that. So if you want it to get smaller at the back, all you need to do is just to pull it in just like this, and it will fit the lower back area. Alright, so this is it. So this is the dress. Alright, so thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Something to note about this dress is that it doesn't offer much support, as you can see here, right? So if you wanted to have some support, what you can do is to make a string or a strap to go across here and here. But this is how the dress looks on the mannequin.